Learn English with Yourinstill.
Hi. Are you ready to practice speaking in English with me? Let's do it. What do you do? Where do you want to go? What are you up to this weekend? Could you answer these questions in English? In today's English lesson, you will practice speaking with me about 7 of the most common conversation topics in English. We will practice vocabulary, questions, sample conversation, plus you will have the chance to have a sample conversation practice conversation with me too. Over the past year, I have made 7 Speak With Me lessons, and today I have combined them all in a very useful lesson where you can practice them for the next 2 hours. All right. Are you ready to get started? We are going to be talking about these topics today. Drum roll. Let's get started with the first one, weekend plans. Are you ready to learn the most important conversation question of all time? At least according to me. Is that question, what's your name? No. Is that question, will you give me money? No. Is that question, do you love me? No. 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 The most important conversation question is, there's actually 2 parts. What about you? How about you? When someone asks you about your weekend plans and you say a little reply, I'm going hiking. I'm not doing much. There might be an incredibly awful, awkward pause. What happens next? Well, this is where the most important question comes in. You can ask them, what about you? How about you? You can imagine tossing a ball back and forth. The other person has asked you a question. What are you doing this weekend? They throw you the ball. Now you reply and you say, okay, I'm going hiking. Or, I'm not doing much. You need to throw or toss the ball back to that person, and this question does that. How about you? It means you are asking the same question back to them. What are you doing this weekend? How about you? I want you to remember this wonderful question, either of them. Actually, they have the exact same meaning. How about you? What about you? Remember these questions, because later when we practice this at the end of this lesson, during our conversation, speaking time, remember these questions and use them. All right, let's go to some common vocabulary that you can use to talk about weekend plans. Brunch. Many Americans love brunch. The word brunch is a combination of breakfast and lunch, and that's because we usually eat this on the weekends, maybe a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. It's a time when you could eat either breakfast or lunch, and it's usually a long social event. You might go out to brunch with your friends, or have your friends to your house to eat brunch. My friends and I are meeting at our favorite brunch spot on Sunday. Great. It's a restaurant where you can eat breakfast-type foods, usually with some drink like a mimosa or something with fruit in it. Or maybe some champagne in the morning, and you can eat this in the company of your friends. Another common weekend word is social butterfly. A social butterfly refers to someone who makes a lot of plans. They are flying around to event to another activity. They're always doing things, usually involving lots of other people. They are a social butterfly. If you are a social butterfly, probably the year 2020 with lockdowns and all of these things were probably really difficult for you because you love to get together with other people and always be active. We can use this in a sentence like this. My friend is a social butterfly. She has invitations to 3 brunches and 4 afternoon teas. Amazing. What if you are not a social butterfly? What if you are the opposite? Are you an unsocial caterpillar? No. It means you are a homebody. Your body likes to stay at home. I'm a homebody. She's a homebody. Someone who enjoys just doing things slowly and staying at home. They feel most comfortable in a comfortable place at home. You could say, my friend is a social butterfly, but I'm more of a homebody. When I get together with friends, I would rather have dinner at my house and then play games here. I think this is true for me personally. As I get a little bit older, I prefer these kind of intimate group settings instead of lots of people. I prefer just a couple friends at home. Maybe having a bonfire outside, roasting some food or some marshmallows, and this intimate setting. I enjoy doing activities at home more often than when I was a little bit younger. To stay in. Unfortunately, that has been probably a lot of our weekend plans for the past year, and it means that you're just going to stay at home. It doesn't mean you're going to do nothing. It just means you're not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stay in. You might say, it's supposed to be cold and rainy this weekend, so I'm just going to stay in and read a book. Or, I'm just going to stay in and do some things around the house. To binge watch. This means that you watch a lot of movies or TV shows, usually back to back, without stopping. Several hours. Maybe you watch 4 seasons of a TV show in one day. This is binge watching. You are watching a lot. This expression comes from a term we usually use with drink, to binge drink. This means that you drink a lot of syrup at one time. Not a very healthy thing to do, but when we say to binge drink, that has that same idea, is you're doing a lot back to back, or you could binge watch TV. You might say, last weekend, my husband and I binge watched all of the Star Wars movies. This isn't true. When you have young children, you do not have time to binge watch TV, but you might say this about your life. I binge watched that new TV show that just came out. Our final expression that you can use to talk about your weekend plans is to catch up on some chores. This phrasal verb, to catch up on, is a beautiful phrasal verb that you can use to talk about some necessary activity that you haven't done for a while, and now there's more and more and more, and you need to finish all of this. We can imagine laundry, dishes, sweeping, cleaning, maybe some home repairs, tidying up, maybe even yard work. If you don't do those things for 1 week or 2 weeks, there's so many you have to do. That means you need to catch up. You to do what you haven't done for a while. You need to catch up on some chores, and chores are just those activities that I mentioned. Laundry, dishes, these necessary activities that involve cleaning up, helping to make your home a wonderful place to live. Maybe this weekend you just need to catch up on some chores. You might say, I was so busy all week and finally I'm going to catch up on some chores this weekend. Maybe not very fun, but when your house is clean, it feels good. All right. Now that we have some common vocabulary you can use to talk about your weekend plans, let's talk about some introduction questions that you might hear and that you can also ask other people. These have varying levels of reductions and fast ways that you will hear them, so I want to help you understand and recognize what other people are saying and also be able to use it. Let's talk about our first question. What are you up to this weekend? What are you up to this weekend? You might know the expression, what's up? This just means how you are. We're using that same word up to talk about what are you doing this weekend? What are you up to this weekend? But do you think that we usually say it like this? What are you up to this weekend? So clear, so lovely. No. Instead, we're going to reduce this a little bit, and then we can reduce it a lot more. Let's talk about the first one. What are you up to? What are you up to? Here, the word what and are creating a spoken contraction. Usually when we write, we don't write this type of contraction. It's only in spoken English, but oftentimes, be verbs like are, is, will be contracted with a question word. What are you up to this weekend? What are you up to? We can reduce this a little bit further. What's up to? What's up to? What's up to this weekend? There are a lot of reductions happening at the beginning. What's up to? Here we have, what are you being reduced to just whatch? The ch is you, and water has just been smooshed together, and we can say what's up to? What's up to? What's up to? What's up to? This is really fast. If you say this slowly, what's up to? It sounds really weird. We only use this in really fast English, so if you are going to say this, it needs to be quickly and reduced and linked together. Most likely you're going to hear this, so I want to make sure that you can understand when someone says, "Hey, what's up to this weekend?" What's up to this weekend? You can say, Sophia taught me that. I know what that means. What are you up to this weekend? Yes. Let's go into our next expression where we're going to also reduce this a bit and help you to understand it. What have you got going on this weekend? What have you got going on this weekend? These all mean the same thing. What are you doing this weekend? But you might hear this expression with the word got. What have you got going on this weekend? When you actually hear this, we don't say it that clearly. What have you got going on this weekend? Wouldn't that be nice, though? Instead, you're going to hear a reduction or a contraction of the first two words, just like we saw with the previous example. So what and have are going to be pushed together. What have you got going on? That final G in the word going is going to be cut off, and we'll just say goin'. Let's try to say that all together. You want to try to say it with me? What have you got going on? What have you got going on this weekend? What have you got going on this weekend? Do you think we can reduce this further? Yes. What do you got going on this weekend? What do you got? Here, the beginning of what have you got is just really like you threw it in a mixing bowl, stirred it up, and threw it out on a cookie tray. Well, let's try to break it down so it's not quite so messy and complicated. At the beginning, we have, what have you got? But it sounds like whata. Whata, this is what have. Whata ya, ye is you. What you got going? Again, we're going to drop that G at the end of the word going. Going on. What you got going on? Whata. Notice what's happening at the end of the word what. Do you hear a clear T? Whata ya? No. That T at the end of the word what is going to change to a D sound. This is really typical of American English, where a T that's surrounded by vowel sounds is going to change to a D. It's called a flapped T, and it just rolls off your tongue in a smooth way. What do you got going on? Can you say it with me? What do you got going on this weekend? What do you got going on this weekend? All right, let's go to our last question. You doing anything fun this weekend? You doing anything fun this weekend? What's happening at the beginning of this question? Should there be another word? Yes. Are you doing anything fun this weekend? Are you? But the word are, it's on vacation. It's just gone somewhere. So we're going to start this question with the word you. You doing anything fun this weekend? It makes the question seem a little more casual and less like an interrogation, or like you're asking someone out on a date. It's just a casual question. You doing anything fun this weekend? But we can reduce this question. We're not going to reduce it an awful lot, but we will hear this reduced a little bit. When we say, you doing anything fun? Instead, you're going to hear, you doing, yeah. The word you is reduced to ya. You doing, listen to that G at the end. You doing, it's gone. It's also on vacation. Maybe it's on vacation with the word are. Let's say, you doing anything fun this weekend? You doing. That's the main reduction that's going to happen in this question. You doing anything fun this weekend? You doing. Try to say that with me. You doing anything fun this weekend? You doing anything fun this weekend? All right. Let's go on to some other common things that you will hear in these types of small talk, easy, casual conversations. If someone tells you about their weekend plans, and it sounds interesting or fun, how can you reply? You might say, that sounds like fun, or how interesting, or just simply, nice. If that person is doing nothing, they're just sitting at home, maybe they're going to binge watch some TV and stay in. Well, sometimes it's nice to still say some being positive in response, so you might say, sometimes it's nice to do nothing. And that's true, especially if you've been doing a lot. Sometimes it's nice just to stay in and relax for the weekend. So you might say, sometimes it's nice to do nothing. Right. Before we practice our sample conversation together, what can you say at the end? Well, if you're talking about weekend plans, it is before the weekend, so you could just say, have a good weekend, or enjoy your weekend. Simple, great way to end the conversation. All right, let's take a deep breath. Are you ready to put all of this together? What I would like you to do is first, I would like you to listen to a sample conversation. Think about the different parts that are happening. You're going to hear our key, beautiful question. What about you? How about you? You're going to also hear some of the key vocabulary that we talked about, and also just some of the questions, the introductory questions. What have you got going on this weekend? Great. Things like that we'll put together. And then I'm going to put some pauses, and it's going to be your turn to have the conversation with me. First, let's watch the conversation sample. Hey, what you up to this weekend? Nothing much. I'm just going to stay in and catch up on some chores on Saturday. But on Sunday, I'm going to meet up with some of my friends for brunch. That sounds fun. Where's your favorite brunch spot? I usually go to Sunny Morning Cafe. What about you? What have you got going on this weekend? I'm a homebody, so I'll probably just read a book in my hammock. That sounds nice. Well, Have a good weekend. Enjoy your book. Thanks. You too. Have a good weekend. All right. Are you ready to take this to the next level? I'm going to be asking you a question and then pausing, and I would like you to reply in that pause. Take a moment. Tell me about your weekend plans. You can do it. Let's go. Hey, what are you up to this weekend? How interesting. How often do you do that? Me? I'll probably go hiking since the weather's going to be so warm. Well, nice talking to you. Have a good weekend. Well, how did you do? If you would like, you can go back and practice that little sample conversation. You can take a deep breath, enjoy yourself. That's part of learning English, is I want you to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Let's start with some common questions for talking about eating out in restaurants. Since the pandemic began, a lot of restaurants have changed their service model, so these questions will cover eating in a restaurant, but also ordering food to go. I hope that these will help you in any situation that you're in. Let's start with our first question. Do you want to eat out? This phrasal verb to eat out means at a restaurant. We don't often say, do you want to go to a restaurant? Do you want to eat at a restaurant? We just say, eat out. Do you want to eat out? But we often reduce this question to sound a little more comfortable and casual. You want to eat out. Ya is you. You want to eat out. You want to eat out. We've dropped the question word completely, do. Just yeah, and then we have reduced want to become wanna. This is a common reduction in English. Can you say the question with me? You wanna eat out? You wanna eat out? Or we could cut off that first word, yeah, completely and just say, wanna eat out? Ask it with me. Wanna eat out? Great. Then you might ask, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? But do you think we say it clearly like this? Unfortunately not. Instead, you could say, where you want to go? Where you want to go? This is a similar reduction to our first question. You becomes ya and want to becomes wanna. Where you want to go? Where you want to go? Where you want to go? Should we order pickup? Should we order pickup? I want to let you know that in the US there are a lot of terms that are used for this idea that you're not eating in the restaurant. You're ordering food, but then you get the food and you take it somewhere else. Maybe you take it back home or you take it to a park. We could use a couple of different phrases, and it's just your personal preference. For me, I say, pickup. Do you want to order pickup? Do you want to get pickup? But you could also say, should we order takeout? Should we order carryout? Should we order takeaway? A lot of different phrases, and you are going to hear these all around the US, so it's just your choice what you'd like to use. Another fun question to ask what someone would like to eat is, what are you in the mood for? What are you in the mood for? Don't deny it. Sometimes in your heart you're just in the mood for comfort food, something that's heavy and rich and reminds you of a cozy, warm time in your childhood. Maybe it's not very healthy, but you're in the mood for comfort food. Or maybe you're in the mood for something light. You want a salad or sushi, something light. This idea of, what are you feeling like you want to eat? But we often reduce this question, and instead of saying, what are you in the mood for? We might say, what you in the mood for? Whatcha is, what are you What you in the mood for? Here, the word you has been reduced to cha. Cha, this is extremely common in spoken English that the word you gets changed up in a lot of ways. We already talked about one of those, yeah, and this is another cha. What you in the mood for? What you in the mood for? Or we could reduce this even further. What you in the mood for? What you in the mood for? This is extremely reduced, but notice what's happening. What are you in the mood for? The word are is gone, and the word you has been reduced to ya. So when we link together, what and you, super fast. What you in the mood for? What you in the mood for? You don't want to say this reduction slowly. What you in the mood for? Now, we can say it like that to practice for this lesson, but when this is in daily conversation, it's really fast. That's the purpose of a reduction. Do you think you could say this with me really fast? What you in the mood for? What you in the mood for? What you in the mood for? Great. All right. Let's talk about some common answers to these questions so that you can be prepared and ready. When someone asks you, "What you in the mood for?" you might say, "Let's order in. How about some option? How about pizza?" Let's order in. This is another phrase for talking about bringing the food back to your house. You don't want to get all ready and then go to the restaurant, or maybe you don't feel comfortable doing that. You might just say, "Let's order in. How about pizza?" This expression, "how about," is a great way to give a suggestion. This is excellent in professional situations. "Hey, how about if we try this marketing plan?" Or, it's great for informal situations to give a suggestion about something you want to eat. "How about pizza? What do you think about that?" Sometimes this question is reduced and it sounds like this. How about pizza? How about pizza? The first A in the word about is gone. It's just missing. We say, "How about pizza?" Can you say that reduction quickly with me? How about pizza? How about pizza? Great. Or you could say, "I'm feeling tacos." Does that sound good? You're giving your opinion. You'd like to eat tacos, but you also want to know what the other person wants, so you use a great question. Does that sound good? But we often reduce this a lot. Let's take a look at the first reduction. You might say, "I'm feeling," cutting off that G. "I'm feeling tacos. How's that sound?" How's that sound? Instead of, "How does that sound?" you can say, "How's that sound?" How's that sound? Can you say that quickly with me? I'm feeling tacos. How's that sound? I'm feeling tacos. How's that sound? Great. We can also reduce it and switch it up a little bit. I'm feeling tacos. Does that sound okay? I'm feeling tacos, that's what I want, but I want to know your opinion. Does that sound okay? Reduces to, that sound okay? Does that become that? That sound okay? That sound okay? Can you say it with me? I'm feeling tacos. That sound okay? Great question, because a lot of restaurants have changed over the last year, and you never know when a restaurant might be closed. It's a good question to ask. Is Ted's Cafe open? I would love to go there. Is some restaurant open? I would love to go there. There is a little way that we can reduce this question. Take a look at this. Is Ted's Cafe open? I would love to go there. The word would becomes I'd. I would. I'd. You can say, is Ted's Cafe open? I'd love to go there. Can you say it with me? Is Ted's Cafe open? I'd love to go there. Great. In the U.S., a lot of restaurants are having outdoor seating. You could say, let's go to Louis. A restaurant named Louis. Let's go to Louis and eat lunch on their patio. Eat lunch on their patio. This is an outdoor dining area. It's really nice when restaurants have this because sometimes you don't feel like eating at home, but especially with kids, if you don't feel like confining them inside a restaurant, or maybe you don't feel comfortable doing that. If a restaurant has a patio, it's much more informal feeling, and it's a nice spur-of-the-moment thing to do. A great expression that you can use is, let's grab a bite at Louis. Let's grab a bite at Ted's Cafe. To grab a bite is usually a quick meal. It might be lunch. Usually it's not dinner because it's pretty quick, but it might just be a short experience. It's not a long dinner. It's not a big to-do. Let's grab a bite at Ted's Cafe because I have to go somewhere later. Let's grab a bite at somewhere else. Can you say that with me? Let's grab a bite at Ted's Cafe. Let's grab a bite. Our final answer to the question, what you want to eat, is, I know a place, or I know a spot that has great pasta. I know a place that has great pizza. I know a place. You could leave this simple and just say, I know a place. Come with me. But if you want to be a little less mysterious, you could just say, oh, I know a place that has great pasta. Come with me, and you've got to try it. Okay. This is kind of maybe an unknown restaurant location that not many people know about, and it's a great phrase to use. Oh, I know a place that you're going to love. Excellent. Are you ready to practice these? First, I would like you to watch this sample conversation between my husband and I as we talk about where we want to eat, what we want to eat. Think about those phrases. Notice the phrases that we use, and then after that, you're going to have a chance to speak out loud and practice it yourself. Let's watch the sample conversation. Hey, you want to grab lunch? Sure, but I only have time for a quick bite before my soccer game. What sounds good? How about pasta? That sounds great. How about I call it in, you pick it up, and we'll picnic in the park before my game starts? That sounds great. I know a place that's close by and has great tomato sauce. All right. Now it's your turn. I want you to use these phrases that you've learned.